All right, welcome everyone. Motivational Monday, April 27th. It's the last Monday of April. We're going to do a doodle today. So while I'm just kind of telling you why doodling is good for our brain, doing a quick review, if you haven't already grabbed a piece of paper, I would say if you get like a computer-sized paper and fold it in half, that's good. So we don't want it to be too big, but we also don't want it to be too small. A pen or pencil, markers. I did some of mine with a Sharpie. So you might, if you have a Sharpie, like a black Sharpie or a black marker, it could be helpful today. And then of course, pencil, crayons, anything you have to color. And if you only have a piece of paper and a pen, that's great too. Okay. The coloring, I kind of leave you at the end to do the coloring. So as always, grab your glass of water, everybody. Water ensures efficient electrical and chemical actions between the brain, the nervous system, and the sensory organs. What does that mean? Our brain is an electrical organ and it needs water to conduct electricity. So you might not think you're thinking when you're doing a doodle, but you are. So we want to feed our brain. How's everybody feeling? Let me know in the chat box. Before I press record, we were talking about how all of a sudden, right? It's the end of April, beginning of May. All of a sudden, we're noticing the difference in the light. The sun's setting later. The sun's rising earlier. And this morning in brain fitness class, we talked about how our body sends signals to our brain that dictates our happiness. It's not actually the other way around. And our environment is a really big one. When the sun sets, when it rises, if we're in a cluttered room, if we're outside in nature and it makes us happy, our environment's a really big one. So how are you feeling? Okay, we've got feeling crappy. Okay, well, I'm glad you're here. I think this might cheer you up. We've got feeling eager, excited for a doodle. I just did my monthly jump in Lake Ontario. I haven't checked what the lake degrees was, but I think I stayed in for about 1:10. So I think the lake degrees is maybe 5 or 6 degrees. So I'm feeling refreshed and ready to go. All right. This is my quote for today, just because this is how I'm feeling today. Never underestimate the power of sunshine, water, and sleep, right? Never underestimate the power of sunshine, water, and sleep. And I think all of us have kind of, through the discussions we've had in brain fitness this morning and here, we're all kind of feeling this one. So good reminder. All right. Doodling. Why do I call it brain doodling? Because doodling, whether you're doodling something abstract or doodling something towards creating a picture, it's been scientifically proven to improve the retention of information, to make you focus and concentrate better. One of the best studies that shows this is they had people listen to a long rambling voicemail, and half of them were doodling while they were listening and the other half just had to listen. They couldn't write down notes or anything. And the people that were doodling, and the doodlers also couldn't write down like words, they were doodling. They were able to remember 29% more of what was on that voicemail than those that didn't. So it tells us that there's a connection between our hands and our brain and memory. And doing something with our hands actually helps our brain process information, comprehend it, and remember it. It also helps us with concentration. So another study found that doodling lights up the part of our brain that's our executive resources. So concentration, focus, understanding, comprehending. Okay. And it helps kind of to keep us focused from going into that really deep mind wandering or ruminating or worrying place. It's also stress relief. It's fun, right? We've got thumbs up in the chat box, eager. I'm excited to do a new doodle. It's something different. Maybe it's challenging, right? So that's part of our emotional needs: variety, challenge, fun. And we also, when we're doodling, our brain can go into the best part of our default mode network, where it can start to have aha moments and find solutions. Because you're focusing, but you're softly focusing, and your brain might start to daydream in a good way and find solutions to things that have been bothering you. So you might have an aha moment while you're doodling. It's almost like meditating a little bit. Okay, it keeps us in the present moment. It makes us creative. It enhances creativity, which makes sense, right? Because we need creativity for problem solving, for finding solutions, for having those aha moments. So doodling can do that too. Okay, so we all know the benefits now. I'm reminding you all, let's doodle. Everybody grab your piece of paper. If it is a piece of like computer size paper, 8 by 10, this is what I would suggest, is folding it in half. We want something about this size. You can do the whole paper, but then you're kind of creating a doodle for yourself that's going to take you a couple days, I think, okay? So up to you if you want to do the whole piece or if you want to fold it in half and use a smaller size while you learn how to do this doodle, because you might want to do it again another time, maybe in a bigger format. So I'd say about half the size, and fold it in half because we're going to fill this whole page. Okay, we're going to fill the whole page. All right, give me 1 second. I have to bring myself back up here. I did it in advance, everybody, so that it would be better on the screen for you. All right, so step number 1, here we go. I want you to, let me present this too. There we go. Just some random 3 or 4 random gentle, flowy, squiggly lines, I guess you could call it. We've got, is it weird I never doodle? No, it's not weird you never doodle. I am on a mission to bring doodling back to the world, as I know lots of other people are, because there's a whole generation of us that got in trouble, right? When we doodled during school or when we were drawing stars or scribbling, our teachers thought we weren't focusing. And the reality is that our brain actually was doing it so we can focus, so we could focus, but there's tons of us that got in trouble for doing it, or told, you know, to be good girls, sit in the corner, put your hands in your lap, don't doodle. So it's not weird at all. Okay, so we've got our 3 or 4 lines, everybody. Okay, so we're gonna do another set of like 3 or 4 lines that cross. So see how we're kind of making sections here, and let your hand flow, right? The really cool thing about doodling is it doesn't have to be perfect. We don't need a ruler. It doesn't have to be straight lines. It doesn't have to be completely symmetrical. We're opening up the part of our brain that is not the perfection part of our brain, right? That is the part that likes to think and flow. If you're just joining, we're doing a doodle. Grab a pen and paper. Okay, so we've got like sections. So we've got lines going this way, lines going this way. Are we ready for the next step? Now we're going to get into it. So you've kind of created your base here. All right. Next thing, in every single one of those, I'm going to call them boxes that you created, I want you to put a circle in the middle. And if you've got any kind of boxes that are off to the side, sections that are off to the side that are kind of cut off, right? Like up here, you can put the circle wherever you want. But if they're the bigger ones, put the circle in the middle. So see I have a little triangle here, I put a box kind of closer. But in the bigger ones, kind of try to put a little circle in the middle. So now this is where your brain goes, okay, I've got a task here. I like having a task. I like structure. I like patterns, and I'm creating a pattern. So you have to find every single box and put a circle in the middle of every single box. So this is where the focus starts to happen. This is where I know nobody's writing to me in the chat box. I know you're all doodling. I know at the end of class when you're all doodling too. Okay, so do we all have our circles in every single box? If you need me to move back and forth to another picture, if I'm going too fast, just let me know, okay? All right, next step. This is step 1 over here. This is what it'll look like. So I want you to draw some lines coming out to the edge of each box. You can draw as many as you want. Okay, but we're drawing them kind of out on an angle. So we're kind of creating triangles, and that line's going to go to the edge of each section. So this is what your whole page will look like. The lines don't need to touch lines from other sections, doesn't matter. Just drawing some lines, creating some sections. I'm also curious, is your brain trying to problem solve right now? Because this is what the brain does. Remember, that's one of the benefits of doodling. Is your brain trying to problem solve in this way? Is it trying to figure out what you're creating? Is it going, oh, that looks like a spider or an octopus, or that looks like a spider web? Or is your brain trying to come up with solutions for what's happening here? And this is the reason why I don't tell you what it's going to look like at the end, because I want your brain to do that, to fire up those executive resources, to fire up the problem solving. And even when there isn't a problem, because there isn't a problem, right? Your brain is still figuring out solutions, or it's still thinking in that deeper problem solving, solution solving kind of way. So is anybody going, I think this is this looks like this? You can let me know in the chat while you're filling up your boxes. You can always unmute yourself and let me know too. Are you going, that's an I in the middle, right? Let your brain wander and figure it out and think about it. I'll give you like another minute or so, and then I'll show you the next step. This is why I said like a smaller piece of paper, but this one's really fun to do on a whole piece when you see what it looks like at the end. I'm overthinking like crazy, okay? So it's great, okay? You're overthinking. Let me ask you another curious question. So there's kind of two ways that our brain, and this can tell us about ourselves. I want you to think about doodling as kind of a form of connecting to yourself, or meditating, or visual, like mindfulness. It's mindfulness, really. Are you trying to solve the problem of what's on the paper? Or are you going, oh, that line wasn't perfect, that circle wasn't perfect, oh, I messed up there? That tells you a lot about yourself too, because how could you mess up when you don't even know what you're making? Right? So do you go to that place of judging yourself? Do you go to a place of problem solve? Are you able to go into a not, we've got a comment in here going, not thinking, just doing. Yes, that's mindfulness. Okay, do we mostly have our page filled up? Don't worry, it will be. I need it to be artsy. That's what you think, right? So we're teaching your brain to think in a different way, and don't worry, it's going to be artsy. Okay, so now I've got two examples of what you can do in each section. We've learned this skill before, right? Where you find each corner and you draw a little kind of U in there to soften each corner. Now you can just do it at each corner, or you can actually go from your circle, draw up the line and soften each corner like this in each section that you've created. Okay, so there's kind of two ways to do this. So you can just go, I'm going to do it with you too. I'm going to show you again. So there's two ways to do it. Okay, so let's say you've got all your sections. Okay. So one way is you can find each corner and just draw like a U in each corner. Okay, so I'm going to show you on the screen here. So you can find this corner here, and you just kind of draw an upside down U in the corner to soften the corner. Okay. The other way is I can follow this line, draw a circle kind of around the top to soften each corners and come back down. So it just depends like what your brain likes. I kind of like drawing the whole thing, following the line, softening it, coming back down, because it feels more flowy to me. But your brain might go, oh, the line's already there. I don't need to do more work, so I'm just going to do the corners. Okay, so this one I just softened in the corners here, and this one I actually drew a line around. Okay, so I'm going to put it back up on the screen so you can see it. So two options of how to do it. This is where a Sharpie is kind of nice if you have like a thicker marker. Okay, has your brain figured out what it is, or what it is, a pattern of what things we're making? Once we got to the step, did you go, oh, okay, now I understand what we're making here? Now, as you're softening those corners, right, rounding those corners inwards, I'm going to tell you the next step too. Now, this is going to take a long time, right? That's why I said smaller piece of paper. We want to round every single corner that we've made, right? We want to round them on the edges of every single compartment. And once we've rounded them, we want to fill in the spots. So we're going to create some negative space here in Art Talk. So see here, I've now filled in around all of those rounded corners with my black marker. Okay, so it's going to look like this ultimately in the end. You've created these round sections and then you're filling them in. So you can almost kind of see here my original lines, like my pencil indentation for my original lines here. And then you can see how I filled it all in. So let me put it back here for a sec so you can see rounding the corners or creating a whole kind of inside line. Instead of an outline, it's an inside line where you've rounded the corners, however your brain wants to do it. And here's the thing, if I had told you in the beginning, we're gonna draw some flowers, would your brain have tried to make them all unique and different, or would you have done square lines and every flower is going to be the exact same, it needs to be the same measurement and lined up? But this way we're creating something really beautiful, and each one is different because we started with squiggly flowy lines. Now, I don't expect you to finish this today while we're on the call, but you know what this step is now, right? So maybe you try pick a corner right now and finish 2 or 3 of them around. And I also want you to notice how focused your brain is right now. You're really focused on trying to find every single corner so you can round it out. As you're moving along the page or scanning the page, you're probably going, oh, there's a little spot that I missed. Oh, there's one that I missed. Check in with yourself now. Are you still doing, not thinking? Either way, this is great brain exercises. Okay, are we ready for the next step? We've kind of got a corner done where we're filled in, where we've got our petals filled in different shapes and ways. All right, so our whole page is going to look like this, but let's say you've gotten 3 or 4 done right now in the corner, okay? So we know the steps. I want to remind you so that when we go off the call, I know you're all going to go and continue to create. Okay, so we make our sections, our circle, our lines. We round out all of the corners that we've made with those lines here. And then we color them in black to create that negative space, right? I have this problem with the flowy lines. I made them look like the Northern Lights. That tells your brain what you're thinking about because you live in Northwest Territories. And again, maybe it won't look like flowers to you. Maybe it'll look like something else. And I'm curious at the end of the call to see what everybody's looks like. Okay, so now this is where it gets fun. You can start to color everything in. Okay, so I did mine with markers and I did this morning. And I like to play with color this way. I like to blend colors or do more than one color in each thing. So I created a color outline and then filled it in. So this is one way I filled in some of my flowers. You may also be thinking about the Northern Lights, Michelle that wrote that comment, because that's a place where you're happy. Watching the Northern Lights maybe brings you joy. And the doodling also is kind of bringing you joy and telling you like this is calm and serene. So it's interesting what comes out in your creativity too, right? It's a little bit of art therapy. Another way that I like to color them in is to kind of do like one color then another color and try and blend. I couldn't do that very well with the markers. That actually works much better with pencil crayons, blending colors. But here's what I do usually when once I've got my whole page full and I'm ready to start with color, is I usually only pick maybe 4 different colors. So I usually pick either one dark color and a bunch of bright colors, or some dark colors and one bright color. I really like neon. Like I like neon against color. So for my color palette for this one, I used a yellow highlighter, an orange highlighter, a dark purple marker, a pink highlighter, and a light purple marker. And that was my color palette. Now, I want you to just color in one flower for me because there's one last step to make this pop. So let me know if you have just one flower colored in. Now you're gonna take like, it could be a pen, it could be a pencil, it could be a thinner marker. So I have a thinner Sharpie. And you're just gonna draw on each petal, and you can do this before you color them in too, okay? Do you see how on each petal I've done a line and 2 dots? A line and 2 dots, a line and 2 dots. It's just gonna make that petal look more like a petal. The 2 dots could be water, or it's gonna give it kind of shape. So again, you can draw that line and 2 dots any way you want. It could be with a thick Sharpie marker too. I'm actually gonna do that right now as I'm talking to you and see what the difference looks like. Yeah, it looks pretty good with the thick one too, actually. Might even be better. See, I challenged myself to do something different. So here's what it looks like with the thicker line. I'll show you I'll show you. So a line and 2 dots, a line and 2 dots on each petal. Okay. I know you're all getting into the flow of things. I know that it's like a little mini meditation. It's true mindfulness, it's concentration, it's problem solving, it's creativity. It also gives us like some serotonin and dopamine because we're excited. Dopamine's our motivator hormone. You know, we know the steps. So I'm going to feel excited as I do each step. And then serotonin is when we've completed something and we go, oh, I see what this looks like. So I'm going to share with you my finished product. And again, my finished product, there's no judgment here. It's not between what yours looks like or mine looks like. It's how your hand's connected to your brain, how it flows, what mood you're in right now, right? I'm going to show you my finished product, and you can see what it'll look like when the whole page is full. There's my finished product, everybody. So see, I like to blend. This blending actually works better with pencil crayons than markers. Right? I like to experiment, play different things. Some of them I'm like, this one's just going to be an all purple flower, whatever. But there's my finished product, and I'll show you on screen too. There it is. So that's just half a piece of paper. But I actually think this is pretty beautiful. I think I could do like a whole paper and like put it in a frame and put it up on my wall, right? So yeah, we've got thumbs up. We've never done this one. This is a new one. This is the first time we've actually really focused on that idea of negative space and really creating thicker black lines to make what we've created pop, and then the black in the background and creating those blackness. Because before, a lot of the doodles we've done before, we've just kind of closed in the corners, but haven't really thickened like all around behind it. Now, it was much easier, right, to kind of soften those corners and fill it in than to look at it and go, I have to color in around everything. And then your brain goes, I don't have the fine motor skills to color in and make this lines and do all the black first, right? So the black comes after you created the shapes, and then you're able to just focus on one section and another section and another section, and look how much it pops. So Sharpie markers, you can get them at the dollar store, right? Thin ones. I did this with my Mr. Sketch markers that are smelly ones. So the purple one smells like grape, and the pink one smells like, I don't know, bubble gum, right? So they don't have to be expensive markers. They can be any marker. Or you could treat yourself to something that's expensive and nice too. Like I know some of you have those really cool watercolor markers. You could be filling them in with watercolor markers too. And now I know that you are all incredibly focused on your doodle, because this is what always happens. So you're going to continue doodling. I'm going to leave you, but before you continue doodling, let me know. Did you like that one? Let me know in the chat. Did you like that one? Do you think you're going to continue filling out your piece of paper after I shut the call down? How do you feel on a scale of 1 to 10 now? We've got that one was fun. I'm actually pretty impressed with myself. I think this one was fun and relatively easy to come out with a product that looks like this, right? To come out with something where it's definite what it looks like. If you are watching the replay in the Facebook group and you want to know more, want to come to more classes like this, please go to myrecreo.health, www.myrecreo.health. Join our Inner Circle Club Recreo, and you can come on to classes 6 days a week, 6 classes a week. We either do brain fitness, brain gymnastics type stuff, problem solving, movement. We have fitness classes, we have mindfulness classes, meditation classes. We have it all. We are a whole health platform, specifically for women, for our brain health, our social health, our intellectual health, our emotional health, for all of it. Okay, so if you're watching that replay, also show us a picture of your doodle. Put it up in the Facebook group. We'd love to see it.